and welcome to The Venture. I'm Suzi Dafnis and I'm here with Robert Gerrish and Valarie Khoo. Today we're talking about daily deals. Now, most of us have received in our inbox invitations from Khoo, Living Social and a number of other organisations, deals on anything from a massage to golf clubs, facials to vacations. But how good are these deals for the organisations that are providing these super discounted products and services? That's the conversation today on The Venture. Robert.
Yes.
How do you think it's working for the small businesses that are providing these really deeply discounted services?
Look, I think it's a mixed bag, to be honest. I think for some people it's working really well, and I think already the internet is littered with stories of those for whom the experience has not been so good. I think there's some clear things that we as a business need to have in place before we contemplate going into these kind of group buying deals. But I think for the right business, and as long as they do it sensibly, I think it can really work.
Where doesn't it work, Valarie, do you think?
I think you need to think really carefully about whether it's going to work for your business, because you need to be able to scale and you need to have capacity. Because if you suddenly have 300 or 400 or 1,000 people suddenly wanting your product, you need to be able to deliver. So you have to ask yourself whether you can actually fulfill the demand, so that if you don't have that capacity, that's going to be a big problem and damage to your brand.
Just recently I was out at dinner and I could see as people were arriving they were showing their coupons, and I think we were one of maybe 2 tables who were dining that night who were paying full rate.
Right.
So for that business, I felt okay. I didn't feel so good for the business owner because I wasn't sure how they were that night going to cover their costs. You mentioned, you not having the capacity to cater to 500 people. What if you were able to then make those returning customers? Do you think that's working for the businesses?
If you have some kind of system in place where you can really encourage them or upsell or give them a value add which really makes them feel good and encourages them to return, provides some kind of incentive for them to return, then it could be worthwhile. But too often I think small business owners think that this is just a quick shot and that these customers are going to stay with them forever. But that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, I'd agree that I think this kind of stampede of customers can feel very attractive if you've got a business that's a bit quiet. But just because you've got 250 people coming through your doors in 48 hours doesn't mean they're going to come back again. It doesn't mean that it's going to long-term kind of support the growth and stability of your business. So I just think a lot of caution before you do those things. And let's remember, it's not just products. There's a lot of people increasingly going into kind of offering professional services and these kind of things. Again, exactly the same thing applies. You've just got to be cautious with it.
I think the other thing is you can really turn off your customers. A friend of mine who has a small massage business, or he's part of a larger group, they had, I think, 300 or 500 coupons for massages, but they couldn't fit some of those people in for 6 or 9 months. Now, if I book a massage today, it's probably because I need it right now.
That's right.
And so do I risk actually upsetting people when they actually try and redeem the offer?
I think there's also an issue with another thing to be cautious of is, you mentioned at the beginning a number of brands that are out there in the group buying space, and it seems to me there's a new one every day, or probably half a dozen every day. And the lure from a small business, I think we have to be cautious of that, because just because somebody's got a group buying site, have they got an audience? Have they got a following? Group buying is only as good as the kind of the database that the company has in many respects. So I think, again, from a cautious point of view for business, is just have a look at kind of who you're getting into business with and make sure they've got the stuff to back it up, because this chicken and egg with audiences and offers, very tricky for a lot of new players in the group buying space, I think.
So we've looked at the dark side of it, but what's the upside? What are the opportunities that this great new marketing vehicle allows us?
I think if you're a brand new business and you've got no exposure out there, then obviously it is going to give you a great deal of exposure to a wide audience, providing you align yourself with a buying site that has a big database. So it can be a real boon for a really new business. But sometimes when you're a bit more established, you have to ask yourself, well, do you want to be seen as a business that offers a 70% discount on something? But certainly new businesses, it could be really good.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think in terms of a sampling, as long as you've thought through your strategy and you know what you're going to do with these new people that are coming to your business. As long as you've got that side really worked through, then I think it can be wonderful. But you've got to have a clear strategy. It's not just a quick fix. We need some business in the door. I think that's a naive way of looking at it. We've got to have a strategy that will follow through with it.
What about the group buying deal companies as a business model? It's relatively new. It's grown through the roof. Groupon in America, has gone public for billions of dollars. What do you think will happen long term? Will we get daily deal fatigue as customers?
I think we may, but I think what will happen is there's too many at the moment. There's way too many sites, and now they're breaking into kind of niches. I mean, we're having conversations with a lot of B2B group buying sites, and there's just too many, and they are surely going to be. Some will fall by the wayside, they won't get the traction, and others I think will be amalgamated. But I think we may get a bit of fatigue, but I suspect that the industry will reshape itself to kind of counteract that fatigue.
I think there'll definitely be a rationalisation either through amalgamation or through further niching, so really exploring the long tail of group buying sites. We're already seeing group buying sites just for the eastern suburbs of Sydney or just for particular chambers of commerce, so I think that potentially it could become really industry specific or geographic specific.
And I know for me that may be more relevant, like a site that offers deals for small business that I know I can get my copy paper or my accounting services or that sort of thing may be more relevant to me than perhaps one day the offer is golf clubs and the next day is facials and which doesn't seem as relevant to me on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, look, ultimately, if you play that right through, it might niche down right to the point where, we can just stay as an individual business. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, I think.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of The Venture.